Welcome, one and all, here to a fairy tale outside the world's reach, abandoned by the planet's blessing and set to cast adrift. It is an island crafted out of stories, right out of a picture book. Please lend your ears to these many fables born here, before the road that led you here withers away, once and for all. You are not asked to forgive anything, nor should you do so. Just bear witness to Britain's roots, as feeble and ancient as they may be. Now prostrate yourselves, offer your allegiance, worship, submit, bow your heads to the ruler of this rotten fantasy, the creator of the fairy kingdom. Hers is the title of queen, and she will offer neither salvation nor offer forgiveness. Her land is that of Britain, all of it is her property, down to the smallest pebble. All those that live on it do so merely by her mercy and happenstance. It does not mean that she cares for any single fairy, nor that she will be concerned with their and pan-human history's destruction. Rather, she welcomes its disappearance, cursing its very existence. All is in service to her rule, such is her edict as the queen. That begs the question, what is the origin of that tyrannical queen? One who had managed to dominate her nation for a grand 2,000 years, not merely through the centralization of all knowledge and technology, but allowing life to flourish under her constant looming presence. Rather, why is it that despite her tyranny, such a thing was possible to begin with? The formation of cities and villages to allow the unworthy, detestable fairies to blemish her beloved nation. The ones who conspired against her, the ones that hated her, the ones that rejected her the moment it suited them, even if it spelled their own doom. She had even given them the chance to demonstrate their loyalty in the shape of her own knights. She alone was enough to fend off all calamities. All she required was her throne, the cornerstone of this lost world. It alone would suffice for Britain's continued existence. She alone had only desired the land. She had the strength to crush all, whether it be calamity or any insurgency. She threatened not only pan-human history just by existing, but posed an obstacle to the alien god as well. So then, why did it end like this? Why had they been permitted to exist, regardless of what she had said? Well, the truth is, this is not the tale of a heartless queen at all. These are merely the records of a former saviour that was broken by the weight of the world long ago, and subsequently, it was the birth of a farce, that which we now know as the Queen. Long ago, she went by the name of Tonalico, the saviour of Britain, the envoy of paradise that attempted to make amends on behalf of the fairies. For this landmass was born from the sins of the original 6 fairies, an island that was repulsed by itself, desiring destruction at any given moment. First, it was the corpse of a god. Then, it were the corpses of fairies that piled on and on, enough to eventually even hide the dead body of Cernunnos at the bottom of a dried up seed. So then, why had she even desired to save this accursed Britain? It was because she learned not only of her failure in the form of the Lost Belt's future emptiness, but also because that she, that is, her pan-human history counterpart, could never find a home in her own Britain either. Thus came the realization that she would never find a place to belong to, no matter the circumstances. And yet, this fairy, no, the person that is Morgan, was someone of unbelievable determination. Even knowing the outcome could never lead to her simply giving up. This was the error of the fairy calendar, a simulation, no, a hollow fantasy enabled by the alien god's machinations, but that also meant that all of it lacked substance. Substance that Morgan would end up providing, but not before experiencing loss after loss. Every time she saved the fairies, she became hated and loved. That led to conflict. That led to Britain endangering itself. So she always hid herself, hoping that the fairies could find peace themselves before she could return. But like a cyclical curse, there was no such thing as peace in Britain. After all, it was a country that could only prosper through death itself. Her allies disappeared over time. Even if she met new ones, their fate would be much the same. Those that truly loved her were few in number, a small group of loyal companions that would be lost after her ascension to the throne. Not a single moment went by where she could breathe a sigh of relief, to finally have a result to be proud of. After all, there was no such thing as an end. That is why, eventually, there was one last attempt, where she staked her hopes on a human ruler. It is in the nature of Fays to be fascinated by humans, to be dazzled by their existence, and before even she knew it, the emotion that was born in her was that of a quiet, hidden love. Even so, the thought that she would without a doubt fail persisted in her. Not once had it left her mind, and that information that she had received of the future would without a doubt be proven correct. Any notion of hope was shattered at the hands of the fairies themselves. There was no thought or greater reason behind either. Just like all the other times, she would be hunted. She became the scapegoat, a witch to be burned. Here it could be said that she finally broke. No, that is not quite right. She gave up on hope. She gave up on kindness. She would never care for anyone else besides her and the land. No, that is not quite right. What part of this was true? She tried to give up many things, but could never truly let go. It was from this maelstrom of tears and desperation that finally this grand farce was born. The desire that kept her going was the wish for a place to belong to all along. She hated pan-human history for not just letting her belong there, but also trying to reject her own kingdom. Yet her most hated foe was the one who laughed at this, knowing better all the while. For someone who claimed to hate pan-human history, she sure adored it. Then surely she had no tolerance for the useless. But why did she forgive Barghest for her failures, letting her walk home peacefully? At least, the weak had to be denied, had they not to? Kindness was a sin, especially if directed towards the fairies. Then why? Why did she do everything in her strength to save that one broken fairy? Giving her clothes, giving her status, to call her her daughter, to let her be free, to let her live. Why did she offer all that to a fairy? Where is her promised cruelty, the cold heart she audibly prided herself in? Then at least she should properly punish those that dare attack her, those that defy her. Yet she didn't, for she reached out to her most loyal soldier, even in the thralls of betrayal. Then she is a liar, in every sense of the word, and that, surely, is the truth. The gates to her Camelot speak of no sinners being able to enter, yet all the fairies are sinful without exception. But it is them that populate her beloved castle, and it is them that the Queen lets pass through. Her mercy was incomprehensibly vast, her unspoken love for the twisted fairies simply saddening. She wished to be even harsher, yet all it took was the sadness of Baoban Sith for her to choose a kinder path. So she allowed them to have fun, to allow them to laugh. She prayed for their well-being, for Britain's eternal prosperity. And so the fairies did have fun, dismembering her corpse. So the fairies did laugh, once she had been murdered. So they did forge connections, and chose to murder their own neighbours. So they were given prosperity, and they all ran it into the ground. All she wished for was for her Britain to be acknowledged by her supposed mortal enemies, pan-human history itself. There was no reward that could be given to her. She was merely content with her Britain existing, to let it be itself. Yet her lies were not seen through until too late, and by the wrong people too. She had pretended to be of a cold heart and villainous for too long. She let her own competitiveness get the better of her, never allowing herself to be seen as inferior or weaker, a trait that also belongs to her sister of pan-human history, taken to an incredible extreme. Now did her star manage to shine on, even at the end? The very star that the second fairy of paradise had been envious of the entire time? Or was it finally swallowed into the abyss, together with everything she had worked for, reduced to nothing by the bite of a meagre insect? Though it is no coincidence that the great liar himself would see through all her lies after all. That is why he perhaps cherished her Britain the most, hating the duty imparted onto him that would force its destruction. As a result, he holds her in the greatest possible esteem. It was a country indeed born from sin, but Morgan knew no other method than to simply love it all the same. No matter how much she lied, her kindness could never be truly extinguished, even at the very end. She was far too stubborn, after all. And so what remains is a fable, one denied by humanity, one denied by Britain itself, yet remembered forevermore by those that gaze towards the stars. Even though she did not manage to create her home, she may still have finally found a place to belong to, after all, with Chaldea. Her kingdom may now no longer exist, but its culture and joy remain in her heart, something that would forever accompany her on every step. Its name was Camelot, the ruined castle that housed only sinners that sing of a bygone dream. May it be remembered, may it stay cherished, this vast effort of one single person. May its many tragedies and wonders guide you in life. Thank you very much for watching this Morgan analysis video, and again a big thank you to Sparrow for providing me with this wonderful script. And until next time, where hope and despair gather once more.